Brandon Hyde's frustration is boiling over. We need some pitching. Is this man, Triston McKenzie, the answer for the Birds? And before you come at me, just hear me out. Hello, everybody. I'm Jon Leiberman. This is Orioles Digest. And this is the David Rubenstein bobblehead that I got over the weekend. And I've been speaking to David, and David understands that it's time that the Orioles make some moves and spend some money because, frankly, if we don't get through the next 6 weeks still in this thing, then the season could be all but over. Please like and subscribe. There's a lot to go over in this episode of Orioles Digest. Triston McKenzie, once a top pick, DFA'd by Cleveland. Why I believe the Orioles should pick him up. We're going to get to that. We're going to do a deep dive into the pitching stats, and actually I'm going to explain why they're even worse than they look. Then we're going to do a deep dive into the hitting stats as well, because this is not all on the pitching staff by any stretch of the imagination. So again, like, subscribe, and you're going to hear in a moment why I believe we need to pick up Triston McKenzie from since Cleveland released him. But I want to start with this, and that is to put this all into perspective, our pitching stats for the year. And they're actually worse than they appear to be, and I'll tell you why in a second. So if you look at the pitching stats, obviously last in the league in ERA, 5.43, but the starting ERA is almost a run more than that. You know, strikeouts were almost dead last in the league. Saves, obviously, there haven't been save situations. We're giving up a lot of hits. Obviously, giving up a lot of earned runs. Obviously, giving up a lot of runs. Obviously, walking a lot of guys. Giving up a lot of homers. So the stats are bad enough. But when you dig into them, the good part of all of this comes down to two pitchers, essentially. First is Zach Eflin, who is hurt. He's the guy who's given you a handful of quality starts and has a 3 ERA. And the second one is Tomoyuki Sagano. And Sagano, don't get me wrong, Sagano has been really, really good. He has the 3.43 ERA. But, you look at the big but on the screen, but you dig into the stats a little bit and you start to get a tiny bit concerned that this could go sideways at any point, because Sagano has a 3.43, only not even 3.5 strikeouts per 9, and also a 6.5 expected ERA, obviously an advanced metric based on hard hit balls and runners in scoring position and all of the things. So when you dig a little bit deeper into these analytics, you start to get a little concerned. And that brings me, my friends, to Brandon's frustration, but this man, Triston McKenzie. So who is Triston McKenzie? If you don't know, he was a 2015 first-round pick in Cleveland out of Royal Palm Beach Community High School in Florida, and a former number 1 prospect for the Guardians. Former number 1, gets hurt, has an injury-plagued 2023 season, and he's back now. He was in the bullpen. Nothing to speak of in terms of his stats out of the bullpen, and we can take a look at those real quick. Not that there's anything great. He appeared in 4 games as a reliever. He got killed. 11.12 ERA, 4 strikeouts, 7 walks, and a home run allowed. But here's why I think that the Orioles really have no choice but to take a strong look at Triston and pick him up. There's no argument against it. Tell me in the comments, why would you be against it? 6'5", he's skinny, 165 pounds. He was relegated to the bullpen this year, but he can start. We've seen this time and time again. We've seen guys that simply need fresh starts. And maybe this is a guy who simply needs a fresh start. The Guardians have 7 days to trade him, put him on waivers, or just grant him his outright release. He was, as I said, designated for assignment. And, I just don't see any reason why the Orioles wouldn't make a play for this 27-year-old. Is he the answer to all the Orioles' problems? No. Could he be a complete and utter bust? Yes. Has he shown that he can pitch in the big leagues? I would argue, yes, he has. And give the guy a fresh start. We're running out of options at this point until we get Zach back and Grayson back, and much later in the season, Kyle Bradish back. And obviously, we're hoping to get Rogers back sooner rather than later, McDermott back sooner rather than later, and Tyler Wells at some point. But at some point, you have to look at this team and say, how many more outings is Charlie Morton going to be able to give you? So I say pick up Triston McKenzie. That's number one. Number two, I don't give a pass, as so many do, to the lineup, meaning I don't put everything on the pitching staff in terms of our very mediocre start. Now, look, most of it obviously is on the pitching staff, but some of it is on the lineup too. When we score, we score. When we don't, we don't. And when we don't, we lose. When we score fewer than 3 runs, we lose 90% of the time. And we start a series tonight against the Nationals and against Mitchell Parker, who, by the way, is a lefty, and also, by the way, has a 1.85 ERA in his 4 starts this year. So, of course, that is concerning to start a series against a guy like that. The Nationals are playing about as poorly as the Orioles, maybe a little bit more. So if you look at the batting stats, we're in the bottom third in hits. We're near the bottom in walks, obviously pressing, trying to get hits. I get it. The batters are coming up, and most times they're coming up, they're down 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 runs. So they're pressing a little bit. Obviously, we're not able to steal many bases because we're not getting many base runners, because we're not getting many walks, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the hits are in the bottom third as well. And the on-base percentage, to me, that's super concerning. Bottom third of the league in on-base percentage, and we're simply not going to be able to win ball games, especially tight ball games. Even if we can get the pitching staff up a little bit, this team has to become better than it's been at the plate. Cedric has been about one of the only bright spots, his 19 hits and 6 ribbies. Obviously, you have Morton there with his 21 Ks. We won't mention his 11-plus ERA or high 10s. But anyway, bottom line, folks, tell me what you think. I know I might be grasping here in your eyes to say get Triston McKenzie, but I say, why not? This is Orioles Digest. I'm Jon Leiberman.